Have you ever found yourself in a situation where it feels like your wheels are stuck, and no matter how much you push your foot on the gas, you're not actually getting anywhere, you're just staying stuck and spinning yourself even deeper? Well, all of us have been in those situations, and in this video, we're going to share some freedom tools that will help you get out of that place and share some of our story of what that has looked like for us and our clients too. Hi, I'm Lisa, this is Travis and Sabrina from Salt Solutions Coaching, helping you to hear God, get His daily guidance, and live abundantly. If you're new here, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. So I am Lisa Berg, this is
Travis Hundley.
And Sabrina Hundley.
And we formed Salt Solutions Coaching, and it really came about from our mutual love of helping people to get free. We have all been through many years of inner healing ourselves, understanding that there's so much more than we can experience of life when we just walk through life by ourselves. So part of the community that we're in and looking to build and building with people is really discovering people's individual gifts and how they can be brought out into the light, how we can work together. But once we found those gifts, one of the fundamental things that we need to do is begin to see where there are blocks in the way, things that are stopping us. When we figured those out, and through the freedom tools that Travis and Sabrina bring, they help us to break through those blockages. Once we're then free to do so, we can begin to work on our dreams and what does it look like? How has God created you? And what are you specifically here for? And how can you live that abundant life? And then the third phase of what we do is then helping you to put feet on that. Not just walk away with inspiration, but actually how you walk that out in life. So we wanted to share some of the power of inner healing, what it has meant to us and what it can mean to you too.
Yep. I think for me specifically, it starts with just an awareness, recognizing that sometimes the reality that we're experiencing actually isn't the best. And it can be reflected in our personal lives, our business lives. It's not limited to just one sphere of influence. And when you start to understand that things are happening and they should look different, you're well on your way to getting set free and to experience an abundant life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my favorite areas is just those generational links. Things that got inherited from grandma and grandpa or parents down the line, and things that you may not be participating in yourself, but you're like, why am I always feeling fearful? I've got nothing to feel fearful about. Well, there's a generational link that needs to be broken from an ancestor that needs to be taken care of. And it's a simple thing, but it's one of those things that breaks you free, but it's not something that you've actively participated in yourself.
Yeah, like the catchphrase, you're just like your father, or you're just like your mother, and that trait's not necessarily a good one, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Or our family is just that way. Those are the cues that might be a generational link.
Yeah. And I love what you said. It's not difficult to get rid of them. And so often we'll walk through life and we'll be stuck in that pattern. Oh, my family's always been entrepreneurial, right? And that's fantastic. But what if that has looked like you try and fail and try and fail and try and fail, and every generation has failed, right? And you just think that's the way it is. And I love what you said. It can be easy as sitting down and going, God, what's the real truth about this? What are the lie I'm believing? How do we break that and get into the truth of it? And literally, we've seen in our coaching over the years, people getting up and walking free of that and being able that their whole life shifts and transforms because they believe a truth now instead of getting stuck in that lie. But one of the issues truly is, as you said, Travis, is that we often don't know that we're believing a lie. So what's the power of sitting with people that can help us to discern that?
Well, and like I mentioned earlier, just understanding that something exists. So catchphrases that clue us in that assistance is needed and growth, and transformation's warranted is, I feel like I keep bumping against a ceiling, or I'm smashing against a wall, or I'm dragging a chain. These are little phrases that we use, but they're actually real. They're actually realities that can be eliminated and allow you to move forward. And And when they're hindrances, it really caps our potential.
Yeah. So some of we have a particular heart for people in business. And some of the things that can happen is that I've literally just spoken to somebody who is interested in the coaching services. And he said, listen, I know I just don't know how to communicate. I'm the sales guy. I'm like the life of the party. I can sell anything to anyone. But then the people I work with are all the numbers people. And they're always saying, you never listen to me. And I'm always saying, you're always trying to block my dreams, right? And this has been going on in his particular company for decades. And he's close to retirement age now. And he's like, what do I do? Like, do I hand this on? Can I sell it? I don't know what to do because my company is dysfunctional, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the beauty of that he's begun to have an awareness. But now where do you turn? What do you do if you don't have people who know how to help sort that out with you, right? Then you're still going to stay stuck.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what are some of the stories that we've seen in our own businesses or in other people's businesses that has moved them on?
Well, I think specifically, like in the area of our words, for example, I will never be, or I will always be. And so we actually go through and reverse that phrase. We depower it, if you would, and kick it aside. And there was one individual in particular, they couldn't get beyond a certain business moment, and it was because they were entrapped by their words. Yeah. And so we literally walked through, broke off the authority that had, think of yourself as locking, being in a cage and you're holding the key, but you don't understand that the key that you have actually unlocks the door and allows you to step out of that cage. And so in that moment, we walk through that. And then next thing you know, they're just soaring. They're like, this is amazing. I had no idea.
We were working with a particular client just recently, and there was a communication issue going on. And it was disguised as a communication issue, but it was actually a worry and anxiety issue, and which was causing the communication issue within their company. And so once that was discovered, what that worry and anxiety needed to be dealt with, and what the root of that was, and that could be discovered in a few questions.
Yeah, it's not a hard process.
It's not arduous. And then once that was discovered, they were able to move on and implement some of the strategies that they were wanting to implement to move their company forward. But fear and anxiety is paralyzing, and it can just totally stop a whole company in its tracks. And so to break that and have clarity over that in particular is extremely powerful.
Well, it reminds me, what we focus on, we empower. And so if you're focused on what you don't have or what is broken rather than what it should look like, it's a slow progress.
And one of the beauties of what we found is, all through our lives, we can sometimes come across people who have a bit of insight and can help us with something, and on all of our different life journeys, right? But typically we're sort of aware of where we're stuck and that something needs to be done, but we don't know we'll read a book, or we'll go on a course, or we'll try all sorts of different ways to find help. And those are all fantastic because they're all ways to get to a nugget of truth that can help us, right? But what we found in our coaching is that when we have particularly the three of us carry different skills, right? And so we're able to sit down in front of somebody and just ask some questions and say, hey, tell us a bit about your journey, what that's looked like. And things will be highlighted, as these two have mentioned, like, well, these are the phrases that you use over and over again, or this is a lie that you're believing that's tied to not moving forward in your business like that. And the beautiful thing is that with the three different insights, with a council of people, you can go, Sabrina will look at, oh, that's an identity issue. Let's talk about your identity and who you really are here. And Travis will go, oh, this is where you're stuck. And this is the ceiling that you keep on knocking against. And I'll go, oh, you're walking it out this way. But look, if we put these procedures in place, we could actually change things. And that's the beauty of a council of people and a community of people, right?
Yeah.
Is that we get to bring these different skills to the table that help in different ways. And it's sort of a trifold help instead of just a piece by piece by piece help. And because we love coming alongside you and seeing how our tool belt can help you, we've just seen tremendous impact and acceleration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, I can't communicate how important it is to have awareness, because a lot of times what we deem as normal actually isn't.
Yeah.
And so, there's a dreaming component that starts to come out of this, where it's like, oh, you mean I can go beyond that? And being encouraged by people around you to help support that dream. It's like, wait a minute, no, it actually could look like this or should look like this, can be a huge breakthrough.
And there's something so important about that, about, we're surrounded by the people we're surrounded by in life. And often those people either won't see that something's a block, right? Because we're just used to doing life with each other. Or if we do see it, sometimes we just don't know how to communicate it.
Right.
Right? Because it's just, oh, Uncle Freddie's always been that way, and you say
The way
something
they
to him and he's
are.
going to blow,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? So sometimes it's really great to have outside people that are unattached and don't have any agenda besides seeing you well.
Yeah.
And seeing you prosper and go.
Well, and
on
as
your
well
way.
as the history, and because the offenses and things like that can build up historically and interfere with that communication piece, like Lisa was mentioning.
What has inner healing meant to you guys in your own life? I mean, we've talked about what happens when we coach other people, but what changes and transformations has it made in your own lives to be set free from lies you believed? Or
it's truly the definition of freedom, because those lies are shackles. They're chains around you, and they bind you, and you don't even know that they're there. But the minute they're off, you start to dream again. You start to see the possibilities, and it's not a crazy idea. It's like, no, this is actually should and will be reality, whatever that dream is. And so it's just, for me, it's releasing your full identity in how you're made and what you're made for and how you're supposed to live the life that you're given. And so that's what is a thrill to me, to see that unlocked in people along the way.
Yeah, and for me, in addition to that, which is a great answer, is just recognizing that we're being given an abundant life. And this isn't just one facet of your life that's doing well and the rest of it's mediocre or even compromised. It's like, it's the full spectrum. And so as you start to look at that and you're like, yeah, this part's going really well, but I'm really struggling in this area, those are the opportunities. Those are the areas where possibilities and growth and freedom exist. And when those come up to speed and take flight, they look like the dream that's inside of you, all the rest of your life starts to elevate. So it's like, because those of us that are around you recognize that you're called for greatness. And so when you step into that, then it elevates others. It elevates the environment, it elevates your business, it elevates your family. I mean, everybody wins.
Yeah, and particularly for me and my life, what it has meant is what Sabrina was alluding to, breaking the generational patterns of my family, so that my life, I get to take the amazing things that my parents and my grandparents gave me, and the stuff that perhaps wasn't dealt with in those generations, I get to leave that behind. And now I've got to pass on to my daughter the amazing things in our lineage, but we're no longer needing to repeat the same mistakes. And to my grandchildren, right? And life has changed in my generation, from me to my daughter to my grandsons. It looks completely different in my family lineage because of personal freedom, because of this, exactly what we're talking about. And it's made all the difference. They've been married over 30 years. Me and my husband have been married 27 years. So we know this journey of what it looks like to to work on relationships, to see each other, to hear each other. And we've all made mistakes along the way. We've all wanted to kill each other along the way. We've all been in love with each other along the way. You know, it's a long journey. But what it has shown me is that there's this invitation to abundance, like Travis was saying. We get to live that way. We get to not stay stuck in the analogy that we started off with when our wheels are spinning, but we can actually just take a pause and go, hey, can somebody help lift my car out of the mud?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? And somebody can come alongside us and go, hey, okay, let's take our foot off the gas for a moment. Save your energy. Let's pick you up out of the mud. Let's put you on the right road.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then your wheels can get traction again. And then when you put your foot on the accelerator, you're on the right road, you're pointed in the right direction, and now you're doing something and you're getting somewhere instead of just spinning. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest revelations that changed my life in the most dramatic way is realizing I didn't need to be a Lone Ranger. Mm-hmm. That I wasn't designed to do everything alone by myself.
Yeah.
And to be in community, to be to accept help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that was part of my family story, is do it on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, no, that's not how we're designed. We're actually designed to help each other, not to be Lone Rangers. Mm-hmm. And so that was pivotal in my family line, in my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I agree completely with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think for me, you know, as a recovering D, if you know the disc profile, recognizing, you know, that the driver, when in an unhealthy pattern, you know, pushes beyond relationships to be task oriented, recognizing that, wait a minute, people matter, you know, that I wasn't driven by the numbers. There's more to life, and that pulled me off the performance treadmill, if you would. Mm-hmm. And yet it didn't compromise my worth. It didn't compromise my values. It didn't compromise my productivity, but it changed everything for the better. And so now I get to actually be fun. Get to be joyful. I get to be pleasant to be around, and to encourage others.
And that's such an important point, is that, you know, we've talked about getting rid of the lies and breaking the old patterns, but truly then being able to step fully into who we are. So just for instance, on the disc profile, Sabrina is highest on the S, Travis is highest on the D, I'm probably highest on the C. That means that Sabrina has been able to fully come alive in her looking after people, loving community, that kind of thing. And the cool thing is that she's then been able to show the two of us who are not high on the S. So I'll write an email, right? And Sabrina go, let's just S that up a little bit. Let's just be nice to people before
we're talking to people
before we do all of the bullet points, right? Because I'm a bullet
relationship
point girl.
Matters.
Right? But then it's also, Sabrina and I work together a lot, it's also the C and the D has also helped Sabrina to go, oh no, but no, this has to go forward, right? And let's put this on the diary, and okay, I feel this way today, but we're going to go for it anyway, right? So just the beauty of not only being able to recognize who we are, but then value and honor other people's ways of doing things, and we all get to go forward well.
Yes.
Right? In community the way it's supposed to be. So
yeah, and out of that starts to birth culture. It starts to birth family. It starts to birth, if you would, like a healthy ecosystem where people get to thrive.
Yeah. And so then we do so in community. And the beauty is that then, as we were referring to, every part of our life begins to be more in balance, more abundant, more the way that it's created to be. And if we looked at that as a wheel, instead of it going as a clunk, 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 clunk wheel, right, then it gets to act more like a wheel, right? And it's in all areas of our life. And so that's another thing we love to do, is looking at goal setting and strategy and health and truth in all areas of our lives, so that we truly can live an abundant life. So anything else you want to say?
Be courageous. I know it can be scary, especially when there's areas in your life that are unresolved, but it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
That was my,
Mm-hmm.
just be courageous.
And whatever your self-talk is right now, that the negative self-talk, just realize that that's not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, and that's it. Those are areas that need some healing. But that is not who you're created to be. In the berating yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and largely, sometimes the area of your greatest breakthrough is being hindered by that specific moment. And so it's we've seen that where it's like, this is who you are, and it's like, well, I tell myself this. It's like, no, that's why that you're wrestling with this, because this is who you're created to be.
Yeah.
And so those two can be directly correlated.
Yeah. So this journey of coaching is very much like the analogies you would see in sport, that we know that everybody is created to be great, but we don't know how to do that by ourselves. So you'll get somebody who starts to begin to, throw hoops as a kid, that kind of thing, and begin to see that they're good at it, and then the more they practice, the better they get. But then they get to school, and then a coach will see them, right? Then you go to start going to gym, and the coach will see you, and the coach will start coaching you. And what their coaching will look like is sometimes it's like, hey, you're amazing, you get more hoops than you lose, but hey, let's work on your footwork. Let's work on your passes. Let's work on your, right? And a coach actually comes alongside and not only calls out the greatness in us, but also sharpens us and helps us to go, hey, that is not helpful to you. This is, let's get you back on track, right? And a coach continually not only gets you back on track, but then pushes you to go on that track. They grease the wheels. And so this is what we love to do here. And what we say is that we love to empower the 2.0 version of you. Because as you're watching this, you know deep down inside, no matter what your self-talk is, no matter what the lies you believe are, you know that there's something that only you can bring to the world. You have seen glimpses of your own greatness and what happens when you fully show up. And that is our greatest desire, is to partner with you and to see you be all that you were created to be, because the world needs you fully alive. It's the most exquisite thing to see somebody go, oh, that was me all along. You mean that's really me? You mean that's really a thing? I can do that? And other people's lives are really positively affected by that, right? And to see somebody in integrity and honesty and knowing who they are really get into their groove and run in it is the most exquisite privilege in life. So we want to invite you, just interact with us whichever way you feel to do right now, but do it. I agree with Travis and Sabrina. Be courageous. Be hungry to find out who you are, and don't settle for where you are now, because there is greatness in you, and we would love to walk alongside you to bring that out. Okay. So like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, because every video that we bring out, every podcast that we send out, will be tips and tools to enable you to be able to go to that 2.0 level of yourself. And there are links underneath this video in the email that you received that will help you to know how to interact with us and journey with us to see the 2.0 level of you.